going on, everyone? It's Scott here from the Breakevens, giving you the very first Supercoach 2025 video. It's the preseason, very, very early, but we have just got some big news from Supercoach themselves and the man Al Payton on the latest Supercoach AFL podcast. Um, I was at training, so I missed the initial drop. So I'm a little bit late on some people, but I've put a quick summary up on Facebook and on Twitter of just the things that I took from it, which we're going to go through in this video as well, but in a little bit more detail and a few extra things as well. So make sure you watch the whole video because there is a lot of information here. But before we get into all of that, let's go through the socials. So you can find me on Twitter/X at BreakeVensPod, on Facebook, The Breakevens, here on YouTube, of course, and on Twitch, The Breakevens, where I'm doing a FC25 Chelsea manager mode where I'm trying to take Chelsea back to the top because I'm a Chelsea man. So make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all of those, and especially Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for all FPL, AFL, BBL, all the L's content. So that's done. Let's get into it. The big news is they have introduced a flex option in season 2025 for AFL. We've seen it introduced in BBL. It has also been introduced in the AFL version of the game. So the flex position. So if you see me look down, it's because I've got my notes here and I will just be reading off that. So what is the flex position? The flex position is an extra player on your field. So we're used to having best 22, so 22 players on the field. We will now have 23 players on the field. And what that means is your lowest scorer out of those 23 will get kicked out of your overall score, and it'll be your best 22 scores will be your score for each non-bye round. I want to put an emphasis on non-bye rounds. It is best 22. The flex position can be any position on the field. So it can be a defender, could be a midfielder, could be a ruck, could be a forward. And with this extra player, means instead of selecting 30 players in your starting squad, you'll be selecting 31. So it's still the 22 and the bench spots. That does not change. It says you'll have an extra spot on field for the flex. And as I said, it's best 22 for non-bye rounds. Now, salary cap, what does that mean? Are we going to get more money? Are we going to stay the same? Are they going to be really harsh and give us less? I can confirm that it will stay at 10 million. And you're probably there thinking, how's that going to work? I can hardly even fit 30 players into my team. How am I supposed to select 31? Well, with that extra player, that changes the magic number. For those who don't know what the magic number is, it is a number that the Supercoach algorithm uses to decide player prices, their starting prices, what their break even is, how much they go up or down during the season, because the magic number is always changing. So what does that mean for the magic number? So basically, the magic number will be less or will be lower at the start of this season. We're not sure what's going to happen during the season, but at the start, it will be a little bit lower, which means player prices will start a little bit lower as well. So an example they used on the podcast was that let's say you have someone who comes in at 600K, let's say 600 on the dot or 6 to 605K, right? Last year, that's what they would have come in at. This year, you could be looking around 580K, so a little bit less. And if you have that all over the field, you sort of save up some money and can sort of just help with picking that player within budget. Um, Now, what this does mean, and Al Payton did confirm this in the podcast, is that you will see your 102K base rookies coming in at under 100K. So you could be looking about 99K. So hopefully we get a lot of really cheap rookies because that would be great. So you can maybe get a big premium in that flex position, but player prices will start lower. I would just want to touch on we aren't sure what that means for cash gen during the season. It all depends on the magic number and how they're going. So, could cash gen be easier? You think, if the rookie prices are starting a bit lower, at 99K, that means they should be able to make money faster. That's just going off previous seasons. Lower the price, lower the break even. They do well. They go up a lot quicker. Could this change where it speeds it up a little bit? Most definitely, but nothing is for certain. It could even just stay the same as what we're used to. That their break evens might, it might be that little bit lower. So maybe an extra 1 to 2K here. So roughly the same. I don't think it will have a negative impact. I don't think it will make cash gen harder. I think in most cases it should make cash gen easier. But worst case scenario, it stays the same. So once we get a little bit more clarification on what it means with the magic number, we can sort of calculate potential price generation closer to the start of the season. We definitely won't be getting that this side of the new year. It'll definitely be probably looking into late January, early Feb. We might get a little bit more information, and the people on Twitter that love that stuff, they will be sure to get that out as soon as possible, I would say. So just want to quickly recap what we've said so far, because as I said, it's going to be a lot of information, a lot of me just talking, and you're probably here falling asleep going, I don't care, just tell me nice and simple. But what's the point of that? So 31 players to start with, 23 on field. It is best 22 for non-buy rounds. Salary cap is staying at 10 mil, and the magic number will be lower at the start, so player prices will be lower. Okay, and the flex player can be from any position. Now, one thing about the flex, and this is really, really important, so make sure you do not miss this part of information. Your flex player can be used as a vice captain or a captain any given week, which is just like any other player that's on the field. Great, nothing's changed, but it has. If let's say your flex player is your captain for that week. Let's say you've gone Marcus Bontempelli. Right, he is your captain. Let's say he scores 20. He gets injured in the first quarter. He gets subbed out. He's not coming back on 20. If everyone else on field, so the other 22 players on field, if they score over 20, that means Bond will come out of your score. So he will be kicked out like every other week. It's best 22. He wasn't in the best 22 for that week as your captain, so he gets kicked out. Unfortunately, what that means is usually your vice captain, if you're thinking logically, your vice captain would then get double points. That is not the case. If your captain is your lowest score and gets kicked out of your ending overall score, you will not get a captain score at all that week. So your vice captain, it will just stay. Let's say you had Zach Butters and he scored 140. He will only have 140. He will not get double points to 280. So you will miss out on a captain score that week. Now, obviously, it's going to have to take something drastic for that to happen. So just be wary of that. If you put your flex as the captain, make sure they are going to play. Well, if they're not going to play, then your vice captain does get the point. But if they play and they get subbed out, then you're in a bit of strife. So I probably wouldn't use the flex for a vice captain, just because you run that risk. We saw it last year. Tom Green got subbed out on 5. If he was your captain that week, no, you got 10, but this year you don't get anything. So just be wary that your flex, if they're captain, your vice captain does not get double points if the captain is your lowest. Hopefully that makes sense for everyone. If not, let me know and say you're just mumbling crap. What do you want about? So another thing is the buys stay the same. It is best 18. So I said earlier, it's best 22 out of 23 in non-buy rounds. Buy rounds, it stays best 18. So if your flex player isn't in best 18, it's just like it usually is. It won't be counted anyway. So another big reason not to put a captain or vice captain on your flex. But the good thing is, previous years, when it's best 18, you've had 30 people to try and choose a best 18 from. This year, you get 31, depending on how you use that flex and that extra person. So that's done. So let's talk a little bit about strategy. So we've gone through what flex is, what it means for magic number, what happens during buy and non-buy rounds. Vice captain, we've gone position, a little bit on cash gen. Let's get into a little bit of strategy. So the first one, going back to the buys. Last year, we had the first year of opening round 0, whatever you want to call it, where certain teams played earlier, but they also had an early buy. So they had 2 buys because all the other teams missed round 0, just to even it up. And the strategy there from most people was, I'm not going to go heavy on the buy players and the buy primos, most likely because they missed that extra week when everyone else is going. So you have to field another rookie for that week. And depending on the players you had, if you didn't plan it properly, you could have 6 primos out and only 5 rookies going on. And then, yes, it's best 18, but you want to try and maximize your scores each week. So that could change this year with the flex position. Maybe you do look at a Lockie Neal or Josh Dunkley earlier, or like a Callum Mills, Nick Dacos, let's just say. Because that way you have that extra player on field. So realistically, you can get an extra primo score each week, except for that buy, which again, you have 31 players instead of 30. So instead of selecting from 29 because that player is out, you can still select from 30. So that could really help people getting points earlier on. And that is something to look at. Like, do we ignore the early buys? Well, not completely ignore, but if we want that Lockie Neal or Josh Dunkley early, last year we would have been like, oh, they share the buy with this team, so I have 3 primos out. Do I really want to have 4 primos out? This year we can go, okay, we got 3. I could risk the fourth because the rounds that aren't the that aren't that buy that are early on, you get an extra primo score where people who don't use that flex on an early round primo, they have to field an extra rookie on those other rounds. So you could get almost a leg up on the competition there. Um, but again, it all depends on your team, the starting prices. Can you afford that extra primo? How are you going to use your flex? All of that. So it's just something to keep in mind. I know it's really early, but think about, can you maximize points early during those buy rounds where a lot of people may still be a bit hesitant to go those buy round players. So just keep that in the back here. I just hit my elbow on the desk. I apologize. This has been unedited, so whatever you see is what you get. So um, now I touched on earlier that the flex can be any position. So who do we put there? Who do we put in the flex position? There are four options. Four options. The first one, let's start from the bottom. A rookie. We put a rookie that we think could pop off earlier in the season. That, we're 50-50 on. Do we want to take that risk? Will he get games? You can chuck the rookie in your flex, and if he does crap, it's the same as all the years before. It's just your best 22. The rookie's on field. That is just what you're going to get. But if they pop off early, let's say one goes like 85 and one of your starting, in your usual best 22 goes 24, then rookie roulette is almost minimized because you can choose that extra rookie in that flex. And if you're 50-50 between two of them, you put them both in, whoever gets the best score, it's a win. And that's going to help so much with scoring early. Just make sure your flex, if you are going to go a rookie, you need to obviously um, choose your rookies wisely and look at matchups if possible. What else is good for rookies? You leave, if that flex is an extra rookie, you got some more cash left over. So maybe you're thinking of a mid pricer, but now you have enough to get that mid pricer up to a primo when starting. So they could almost be a cheap enabler. And what that means, low priced, gives you more money in the bank left over where you can upgrade someone else when selecting your side. But with the pros, there are the cons. So the pros are more money, minimizing rookie roulette. But the con is the rookie could just absolutely stink it up. And then if that rookie that I was talking about just before, if he also stinks up, you got a 24 and a 27. Yes, you're getting the 3 points, but you're not really taking advantage of that flex position, are you? You'd rather that flex be someone with a high ceiling rather than a low floor. So, for example, do I want a rookie in that flex position, or can I go a Luke Parker, let's say, who's going to be most likely at a discounted price? Parker, you can lock him in for a 75 at probably his lowest. So you're already locking in 75 points at that flex position. But also, depending on his role, he could go 140. So it's something to think about with, with a rookie. they could go 20. And depending on who the rookie is, you're looking at 70, 75 between there. Obviously, the higher price rookies, sometimes you can push 90, even 100, depending on who it is and the team. But if it's a cheaper rookie, you're probably looking at a 70, 75 best case scenario, 20 to 30 worst case. Why not use that flex to get someone who worst case scenario is that 75? It sort of makes sense that way. And then if they pop off again, and Luke Parker scores that 140 straight on, and a rookie goes off. So that's something to think about. Um, Next is we'll do mid price, and well, I guess I touched on that a little bit there, but mid price and value option. Do we start them with that flex? As I said with Luke Parker, you could sort of roll the dice there. A low score, it's still going to be better than most rookies, but that high score, it's really going to make a difference each week with your overall score and potential matchups. So, obviously, that's the pro. The con for that is you have to spend more money in that flex position. So you really have to be careful with your budget. And you might not be leaving yourself with enough room. You might have to downgrade an Uber premium to like a valued premium. Let's say in your midfield, you can't get a Bont. You might have to look down to like a Connor Rosie. So you're sort of losing some points there. But if you want to shoot your shot with someone who is a little bit inconsistent, but when they pop off, they can go big. That they have that high-ish floor, but a super high ceiling. That makes a lot of sense there. The next one is your premiums. So you could put a premium in the flex spot. So let's say you start with Bont. I'm just trying to think who else is in the midfield. Let's say you go a Dunkley. You go a Tom Green, and you go a Nick Dacos. All right, so you got four big premiums there. Do you go? Let's say who has some premium? I'm going blank on premiums. What the hell? Let's say you go a Caleb Sarong in your flex spot. So you still have your four premiums in midfield. Some rookies, maybe mid-pricer, but your flex position, you put Caleb Sarong. You are going to maximize points there. Obviously, with that maximizing points, they're going to score a lot more on a more consistent basis. So what does that mean for the rest of your side? Do you have that extra rookie on field somewhere else? Because the salary cap has not changed. It's still 10 mil, so it's still the same. So if you're putting that extra primo, it means you have to sacrifice somewhere else. So yes, you're getting the most points, but what's sort of happening with the rest of your team? Can we rely on the rookies this year? Can we rely on those mid-price and those value picks? It'd be interesting to see. I won't say it yet, but I'll tell you what I'm sort of leaning towards. So that's three. The last one, and this will be very popular early on. We might go away from that, but you could start a third ruckman. Last year, Gawn, Grundy. Most people started with Gawn and Grundy as their first two. Great. Imagine last year if you had the flex and you could start Gawn, Grundy, and Cherry. That would be insane. So yes, this is basically you can start a a premium. You've just said that, but the rucks have an opportunity to score so high, and they're usually pretty consistent. You could go there. This year you could start with a Gorn and Cherry, and then that flex you could have a Rowan Marshall or a Tom DeConning, who you know they're a little bit more inconsistent, similar to what I said, like Luke Parker. They could have that 75, 80 score, but they could go 160. It's going to be interesting to see if people do nominate that flex as a ruckman, because yeah, you have Marshall who can go 160, but he can also go 60. You have Tom DeConning who can go 140, but then start as the sub because they've brought Mark Pitnet back, and or he gets sub because they want to bring Mark Pitnet on. Bottom line, stuff Mark Pitnet. It's all about Tom DeConning. Um, so it'll be interesting. Me personally, and this is without looking at the website, the team picker, because it's not out yet. Information on that coming at the end of the video, though. I'm leaning towards that mid price and value option. If I can get a Callum Mills or a Luke Parker as my flex, and we know they can pop off. If they pop off, winning. If they don't, I'm best 22 anyway. I think, me personally, I think with the rookie, it's too big of a risk. Yes, you can get that extra premium on field as your best 22, but you're not really using that flex to your advantage. You can go a primo, yes. You are going to get more consistent high scores and higher lower scores, but I think that's going to hurt your overall team, and you're going to have to go weak somewhere where you might have to rely on a few extra mid prices or rookies. The Rux is the interesting one. That's probably my second pick. Just depending on which ruck you use and the prices, because those rucks, Tom DeConning could be 450k, and same with Marshall, he'll probably be about 5 to 550 if just going off rough potential. So yeah, you could class them. Tom DeConning you could class as like a mid-price ruck. And Marshall, yeah, probably a primo, but the lower end of primo, to get those scores. But I think if you can try and get that extra mid-pricer in that flex, if they have a bad game, nothing changes. If they have a really good game, then you get a rookie off the field. And that is what Supercoach is about, getting the rookies off the field. Less rookies usually means higher overall scores. So just something to think about. What else? What else? Let's talk about trades. So I believe there hasn't been any super confirmation, but I believe the trades will stay the same as it was last year. We're still going to have the boosts. With that flex, does it mean we go less aggressive? Does it mean we go more aggressive? That's going to be a good conversation to have, and it'll be interesting to see what people lean towards too, because you got that extra player, which means you've got that extra player to make money. So this is where if you have the flex as a rookie, he's going to make more money if he's playing consistent, right? So you got an extra player making cash, which means you could be a little bit more aggressive earlier on for sure. Just as long as you're making smart trades, you're not hoping or going off a whim. Make sure you do your research before you're doing those trades. So you could use that as a big cash generation position. Or do you go less aggressive. You go that primo or that mid price, or that you want to hold for a little bit longer. So you have to be a little bit more particular with the players you are bringing out and the players you are bringing in. It's going to be really interesting. Or you could just keep it, you know, balanced, a bit of both. Go aggressive when you need to, stay back when you feel necessary. It's going to be interesting to see. But yes, that's all I really had. I'm just going to do a quick recap on everything we spoke about. Just in case you've gone through and you forgot what happened in the middle of the video. So starting flex position, 31 players overall, 23 on field, but it's best 22 scores each non-buy round. Buys the best 18 as usual. Salary cap is staying at 10 mil. The magic number will be lower at the start, so player prices will be lower. What does this mean for cash gen? We are unsure yet, but if you think lower prices, lower break evens, cash gen should be a little bit easier. The flex can be any position: defender, mid, ruck, or forward. Your flex can be used as a VC or C, but do not forget, if your flex is your captain and they are your lower score, you don't get a captain score because your vice captain will not get double points. Do we look at not caring as much about the early buys and picking early buy players in that flex position? Something to think about will all come with the strategy once we get prices. And what type of player do we put in the flex position? Is it a rookie, a primo, a mid price or value option, or do we go an extra ruck? Because having three rucks would be great. And we've wanted three primo rucks every year. So, and of course, trades that we just spoke about. Do we go aggressive? Do we stay a little bit more hush hush? It would, as I've said probably 1,000 times, it'll be interesting to see how people think and what their thoughts are during pre-season. So before we finish, we did get one more bit of information from Al Payton, and that was the team picker will be here before Christmas. It won't be in the next couple of days. It won't be on the 25th. It'll be somewhere between, I'm guessing, the 16th and the 23rd. That's my, I guess, guesstimate. So probably next week, probably mid to end next week would be my guess. But do not quote me. All I know is it is coming, and that is only for Supercoach Gold members. So what that is if you had Supercoach Gold last season, you will have access to the team picker early in the next couple weeks. And if you weren't a gold member, you will have to wait till probably the new year. It's usually mid to end of Jan. You have to wait. So I'm super excited for this season. As soon as Team Picker drops, I will chuck out a photo of what my first draft is. I'm not going to make a video on it probably until the new year because Christmas time, everything super busy. So that will come out in January. But I'm super excited to see that, play around with it. So make sure you follow me on the socials so you can see my first draft. It'll probably be 10 minutes sitting on the toilet, just these players, cool, got to get back to work. So to find me on those socials, you can find me at Twitter/X at Breakevens Pod. On Facebook, the Breakevens Facebook page. Here on YouTube, the Breakevens. And if you are an FC25 fan, I am over on Twitch at the Breakevens doing an FC25 Chelsea manager career mode. That was good. I got a lot off the chest. All my thoughts are out. A big shout out to Al Payton and the guys at Supercoach for dropping that news. If you want to see it, it is on Apple Podcasts and all your podcast streaming platforms. Supercoach AFL is the podcast itself. So that's it for me. First AFL Supercoach video done and dusted. Super excited. Preseason has started. So thank you all for watching and listening. Hopefully I helped and those cogs are turning. You're already planning for next season. Until next time, it's bye for now.